This is the Rugby Ascendant Podcast with Envia Velman and Chris Wyatt.
Rugby Ascendant Podcast. Chris is back, and we're going to talk about the shocking news that just broke. Chris, give us a heads up. What happened?
Well, breaking news out of Ireland, where Munster's head coach Graham Rowntree has just resigned. It's come as a bit of a shocker. If you saw the post-game interview with Rowntree that occurred after the loss to the Sharks in Durban, it doesn't sound like a guy who's going to leave. Now, this is announced that it's by mutual agreement with the Irish Rugby Football Union. However, the departure doesn't seem to be mutual in my view. He, after the game, did not sound like a coach that was on the verge of resigning or quitting. He sounded, we're going to go back. We're a team. We're not going to let this bother us. Things along those lines. But after the game, he was clearly frustrated. And at the risk of YouTube censorship, his comment after the game to Jean de Villiers was fucked. It's what he said about the performance. He said discipline was poor. Penalties in the scrum killed us. Our line out, we had a chance to pin him down. Just didn't get together. But he said, we will stick together as a team now. And now Graham Rowntree has resigned as the coach of Munster after 2-4 start to the RC season by mutual agreement with the Irish Rugby Football Union. I'm not buying that for a heartbeat, MV. There's no way this is mutual agreement. He's been sacked, plain and simple.
Yeah, how the mighty have fallen. Last year they were the champions. Not the season, the previous season they were the champions. And some other coaches that were previous champions in the URC might be a bit of under pressure, but they might be under a bit of pressure as well, if I may be so bold.
Well, you may be correct about it. I have to say that this is pretty harsh. And also it says to me one thing. The expectations in Ireland, at least, are very high for URC. They expect premier level and, the top 14 or the 14 league, the French. They want that level of performance here. And when you don't get it, you're on the line. Obviously, folks are a lot more lenient in Wales and Italy, which has taken a long time to get to quality level performance. And the South African sides, we've had some drubbings, but Dobson's not in trouble, and Jake White wasn't in trouble a couple seasons ago when the Bulls had a few drubbings. The Sharks getting crushed, their coach is still there. So the patience in Ireland seems to be much shorter, and they have high expectations for these teams, and the performance just wasn't there. So a bit of a shocker that Graham Rowntree has resigned. Again, if you watch the post-game comments, this was not a coach on his way out. This was a coach who was frustrated by his players' performance on the pitch, and rightly so. They didn't get the job done. But as you noted, just 2 seasons ago, they came to South Africa, tough place to play, DHL Greenpoint Stadium, and they won the championship. And now here he is, unemployed. That's kind of a drag.
Any news on his replacement?
No, I don't think so. Not yet. It's pretty early. I did throw my name in the hat. I did send a CV, so I don't know if they're going to call me or not. But
probably not. Don't get your hopes up.
So you're telling me I should keep my day job?
Yeah, if I were you, I'd keep it, especially for the clothes you're wearing over there.
Oh yeah, that's right. You're right. Good point. Wearing the Springbok jersey is not a good sign. But hey, maybe they'll just think I'm a former Springbok and I'll walk out. But no, this is shocking. It's not surprising. It's shocking news. This is a quality coach. This is a guy that knows what he's doing, and he's unemployed now. That's a bit of a surprise and a shock to me. But alas, it's a game, it's a business, and we move on. Of course, the Sharks shellacked them 41-21, and they are 24, and they probably should have scored those 2 tries later on, but it should have been even worse. But yeah, Graham Rowntree is out, and on we go.
Talking about, like I mentioned before, ex-champions coaches. Very strong rumors floating around that Johan Ackerman might be called into the Stormers to come and assist or consult, help right the ship over there. What do you think if that happens?
Well, that may be possible. All I know is that some of my viewers who are Stormers fans are talking about Johan Ackerman going to Cape Town. So I don't know about that. I haven't heard any rumors of that. Dobson does seem to be secure in his position. I think that'd be fantastic for Rossi to bring him along. But yeah, Ackerman is a guy that many people thought would be a Springbok coach at some point, the guy running the show. So maybe, I don't know. Rossi likes to do this unconventional thing. He led the team to a World Cup. He stepped back. He comes back. He's there again. So, maybe he'll step back and then come back when he's got to rest again. Who knows? But I think Ackerman's a good choice. He did a good job with the Lions. The Lions were terrible. He came along, improved them dramatically. He left. They got bad again. And now they're finally back on pace.
Right. We talked about coaches. This USC seems to be a bit of a super coach league to a degree. I mean, you've got big names there. John Dobson won the USC before. Jake White's won the World Cup before. Plumtree was an ex-All Black coach. Leo Cullen, nothing, what you can say about him, but a coach that impresses me every weekend. And he came and surprised the Bulls at home, and he did the same this weekend with the Stormers at home. It's Franco Smith, the Glasgow Warriors, defending champions. What's your thoughts on him as a coach? He seems to be quite clever.
I think he is quite clever. We talked about this previously, the whole altitude thing at Loftus for the URC final. It just kind of, was quiet about it. Look, I think everybody wants Franco Smith. I think they want him to be their coach. I mean, this guy is very much in demand, not just in the URC. I'll bet you some national sides are looking at him to replace their coach, or maybe, who knows where else. But I think he's a brilliant coach. He did a great job. Congratulations last year. And now I kind of hate Glasgow because of him.
Yeah, seems to be a common feeling. No, there's a lot of rumors floating around. Remember, he was Italy's coach for a while. And I asked him about that when I interviewed him after the USC final. And he said, listen, he doesn't want to be involved in all those politics, number one, if I remember correctly, and obviously the traveling. But I mean, the USC teams travel as much. And there's quite a few rumors floating around that he might be replacing Gregor Townsend at Scotland. And that, to me, would be a big blow for South Africa, for forward planning and actually losing into quite a formidable opponent.
Well, the last thing we need is for Scotland to be better when we play them. that would be the outcome here. I think it would be an improved Scotland side. Look, if I'm not following the Springboks, I always kind of pull for Ireland and Scotland on the side. I root for them, Celtic nations, and I love to see them perform well. If he went there, I think he'd do fantastic. Gregor Townsend, I think he's done a great job in Scotland with the talent he's had. But I think they've fallen short on more than one occasion. They could have done better getting to World Cup semifinals on a few occasions they didn't get to. But no, that would be amazing to see him go there. But as I said, I think a lot of South Africans would fear when we play because he'll sort of know what's going on against the Springboks.
No, he knows us. He knows us only too well. His son actually plays for the Sharks, if I'm not mistaken. So let's talk about the South African franchises briefly. We'll talk about the Bulls. They played first Friday night. That was quite a nail biter. 4 of the guys were withdrawn before the game, losing your fly off 3 hours before the game, having a scrum off play, fly off. And yet they managed to pull off the win. Jake said it many times before. In the past, 2 years ago, maybe even the Bulls would have lost this game. And they managed to pull a win out of the fire here. What did you think of that game?
Well, I think you're right about that. In the past, they would have lost this game, but this team has come a long way since then. And I hate to admit that as I'm talking to a Bulls fan, but they would have lost this game a few years ago. I asked my audience when I was doing games on Saturday, I said, did the Bulls, were they lucky or did it show character? Personally, I thought it showed character. I mean, there were 10 changes to this lineup going in. They had 3 or 4 players down for illness, but those 4 players out led to 10 changes in the lineup. And I think it showed character that they won. And kudos to Creel. Boy, what a manly job stepping up and making that conversion. That was not an easy kick. And, it could have gone the other way, but he kicked it through the uprights and the Bulls get themselves a victory. Well done on the road. And they end the first stage of the season in fine form. The South African side should have played 6 games, but they played 5. The rest of the sides have played 6 games at this point. So the South African sides have 1 game in hand, which means they're going to have to play another game, but they go into the break and the Bulls could use this break. And it will be, I think, a good spot for them to find themselves coming back with a 4-1 record. They shouldn't have lost the other game, to be honest. They should be undefeated, but they do go into this break looking well. I think it showed character on the part of the Bulls, and I was very impressed. I was very happy for Creel. I mean, I love the Creel brothers. I mean, there's like 80 of them that play in professional rugby.
Yeah, interesting thing that Willem Strauss of the Bulls said, he sends up these WhatsApps all the time. He said with the extra Bulls now selected for the Springbok squad, the Bulls have 10 Springboks in the squad. Stormers have 11. The Sharks have 11. I think the Stormers have 2 and the Lions have none. So I'm not sure where, and the rest is from overseas. So I know Jake's plans are a bit democrat at the moment, mixed up. Because of all the players they have to give chances to rest. And Cameron Hanekom is now being called up as well. He was worried about whether he's going to lose Eldrich Lowe or Cameron Hanekom. I told him, you're going to lose both. And then I didn't select Hanekom, and I thought, okay, I was wrong. And then I was eventually proven right. So that, to me, what did you think of the selection of Cameron for number 1 and Wilco Lowe number 2?
Yeah, no, I thought that the selection of Hanekom was a good idea. I mean, I think he belongs up there. It's good to see him. But also, I'm a huge fan of Elric Lowe. I mean, the guy's a Tasmanian devil, but that's why I thought you were asking. No, I think good choices, but the Springboks are spoiled for choice. But with Springboks dropping like flies, it's good to have this depth, be able to bring players up. And maybe we should talk about that now before we continue with the RC about the injuries,
Yeah,
because
sure.
that fades right into the Stormers' disaster in Cape Town. I mean, this is just bad. I mean, I don't know what to tell you, but this is just bad. It was not a great performance the first half, but they were in the game. They actually controlled the game. And then it wasn't even on camera. I don't know what happened, but the players didn't get back or weren't ready. And then they kicked the ball, like they kick it right back, and they wind up getting a penalty. And and then a try off of that. And it all fell apart so quickly. Very disgusted by what happened here. And insult to injury, we lost Damon Willemse on an un well, what's the word? We say a non-tackle injury. That's what we say in football, non-tackle injury. Nobody was near him. He's just running and pulled a hamstring. That's that.
Groin.
And look, I'm sorry, hamstring. I said groin. He pulled a groin. I've done the same thing. I pulled a groin playing hockey, and it took a long time for that to heal. And that's going to take. He's going to be out for probably 4 months at least. Probably won't see him until sometime in late January, and that's terrible for the Springboks and for the Stormers as well. But then we also lost Ben Jason Dixon. We lost Franz Malherba. It's just unbelievable. They're just dropping like flies out there. And if they're going to drop like flies, at least you should win the game, get something. But we lost the game, and it wasn't. I don't know. Dobson needs to have a conversation with these players. Something is missing in the Stormers team, and I can't identify what it is, but something is not right. Now, we can make the excuse that a lot of players are injured, and that's true. The good news about this is that in December, Sasha Feinberg-Ungumzulu will be back. Salman Morat comes back. That'll help in the locks. Dion Fourie is finally back from his surgery. That will help immensely. That guy is just amazing. Of course, he's 85 years old, but he's the best 85-year-old in rugby. Then you've got Connor Evans, the young man, is coming back, who shows a lot of promise. He's kind of like a Cameron Hanekom, the same sort of character coming up. And then Ben Loader will be back in December. I'm not so sure that's the great addition, the New Zealand player, but he contributes at times. But the rest of those players are all key contributors to Stormers, and so that'd be nice. But I'm very concerned about these injuries, especially Damon Willemse. Even when you heal, that can be a injury. You can re-injure that groin again later on. You got to be really careful. And my advice to Damon is, as it heals and he gets ready to come back, he has to learn for the next couple of years. One of the first things he does before he does any running, anything on the pitch, is he sit down and stretch that groin out very well before he plays, or he's going to re-injure it. And a re-injury, that's not pleasant. So, yeah, very disappointing. But the Stormers, just, man, it's just, I don't know what to say. I'm just very, very disappointed here.
And Marnie's comeback? No, didn't shoot the lights out.
Monty was great and average. He made some boneheaded plays, and he also contributed very well on occasion. So, look, Monty is hit and miss these days, and that's unfortunate, because when he's on, he's a great player. There's nobody better than him at delivering the ball from the fly-off position to someone on the wing or kicking the right place. And he does make tackles, but when he's off, he's off. He makes dumb plays. I can't tell you the number of times this weekend that South African sides kicked a penalty and left it in play. It didn't get in touch, and we lost the chance so many times. And that happened with this game. So, yeah, look, I just want to forget about this game. We go into the break, instead of having 15 points in the log, stuck way down in the bottom third, which is 10 points after 5 games. That's not where I wanted to be.
Let's talk about the game that cost Graham Drownsy the job now that you just told us, the one against the Sharks. Stormers, Munster against the Sharks. Sharks actually seem to be starting to fire on most of their cylinders anyway.
Well, I would agree, but then we look at the lineup: Springbok. There seems to be a trend here. I mean, Oxenche, Bonganambi, Vincent Koch in the starting lineup, Eben Etzebeth, that first 1 through 4, all Springboks, and they just keep going up the list. Sia Khaleesi's in there, Grant Williams, Jordan Hendrickson. Oh no, Jordan's not a Springbok yet. Andre Esterhuizen, Lucanio Makazole Mapimpi, all Springboks. That is one thing that's changed. But to be fair, last season when they had these players come back, they performed poorly. So this was a good sign. They were at home. They played a very good game. And look, I had 3 choices for man of the match in this contest. I had Andre Esterhuizen, Grant Williams, and Sia Khaleesi, all in my mind, played very well to be man of the match. That's just, and that's a Beth, could have been considered too, but I think those 3 were just fantastic. It was a great game. Vincent Chuka is really coming into his own as a player. I mean, not that he's not been good, but boy, he's just becoming dominating and wearing that number 7 jersey right now. So it was, look, I mean, it was a good day in the Shark Tank. The kids were playing in the pool at the end, and there was a big crowd in Durban. That was a big crowd for Durban. It's about time we start seeing those seats full. I was really impressed. Well done to the crowd coming out there. And, Munster, Graham Roundtree, tough one. He's gone.
Just on that subject of Jordan Hendricks, he is a Springbok. He played for Wales one test, remember, beginning of the season.
You're correct. You're correct.
He's now been pulled into the Springbok squad as replacement for Frans Malherbe. Typical Rassie. He brought in Cameron Anacom forward in place of a back, Damien Willemse. Now he's now brought in a back in place of a forward. Frans Malherbe is not going, so he called up Jordan Hendrikse. So he's on his way to Jersey to play.
So 11 of the starting 15 were Springboks. I mean, it's like playing Leinster. We're playing when you play Leinster, you're playing the Irish national team. You're not playing Leinster. So Leo Cullen is the Irish national coach at Leinster. Come on, let's be real.
That's actually an interesting thing I wanted to ask you about. Sorry to interrupt you. You've got all these Springboks, and they play a certain way under Rassie and Tony Brown, and they've got the same Springboks under John Plumtree, and they play a different way. Maybe that's a bit of a problem, don't you think?
Well, that's a fair point. I think that is exactly a challenge for teams. It's okay if it's 2 or 3 or maybe even 4 players to make an adjustment, but basically you're swapping almost an entire team out here, and they're coming in having played one way, and just a few weeks later or a week later, switching and changing up. It causes some disconnects, and I talked about that last year on my broadcast about how these players coming back, they're switching to a different system, and while they may know that system, it's not the one that they've been playing in for the last month or 3 weeks or something like that. It's a mental shift, and players make mistakes. Players aren't where they're supposed to be, so you wind up seeing a pass go astray. As a player normally would be there, they're accustomed to being there, and then you're counting on someone to be there, and they're not there, and you throw it into touch, or you just make some other dumb mistakes and missed assignments, and that can be a problem. But I think with the Bulls, when they come back, it's pretty evident with their leaky defense.
Excuse me. Excuse me. What game were you watching?
All of the Bulls. All the Bulls games.
Benetton didn't score a single try. Listen, I think the Bulls defense is definitely much improved with John Teague now, the new coach. Gary Gold has been sent on his merry way. So I think John Teague is making a difference there by the Bulls. So we're going to take one step back to the Sharks quickly about this, the Springboks playing under a different coach. And the biggest example of that is Siya Kolisi being picked at 8. What did you think of that?
Yeah, I thought he did a fine job. I thought it was really good. Like I said, I think he was a man-of-the-match performer in that. I was very impressed seeing that. Instead of the 6 jersey, wearing the 8 jersey. Look, I've been criticized and called all kinds of things because I've been an honest analyst when it comes to Siya Kolisi. When he performs well, I compliment him. When I'm predicting how he's going to do, I've usually been pretty accurate how he performs in games. That's a crapshoot there. How's the guy going to do? But when Siya has said or done things that don't make any sense, I call it out, and I get criticized, and that's fine. But and this is an example, in my view, of Sia's versatility, something we've not really seen much of. People don't talk about it, but he is a versatile player, and he's definitely got the heart of a lion out there. He's got the heart of a champion. It's not just because they've won two back-to-back Rugby World Cups with this team, but this is a guy that really steps up when he needs to. And he's like Peter Steph du Toit. I don't know how these guys are playing. They had injuries that end people's careers, and muscle replacements or this, that, and the other. It's like bionic men out there. So seeing Siya Kolisi and Peter Steph du Toit still playing rugby after the injuries they've had and coming back. Siya came back in a remarkably short period of time last year. I have to wonder if there wasn't some human growth hormone or something injected there.
I forgot about that. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah, look, he's kind of like Superman. I'm waiting for him to jump in a phone booth, except we don't have phone booths anymore because everybody's getting mobile and rip that shirt open. But no, look, again, I'm going to say very complimentary things about Siya. Of course, I won't get anybody going, see, we knew you love Siya. No, just the next time I say something bad about him, the vitriol will come. Look, Siya Kolisi was fantastic wearing the number 8 jersey. I was very impressed. I thought the Sharks had a really good game plan. I also thought their execution was pretty darn good in this game. And, it's interesting because Sia Masuku is the guy we've been talking about at Fly Half that is really doing a great job, and he's a Sharks guy. But Jordan Hendrikse got the start there and did a brilliant job. And we didn't even realize that Sia wasn't out there because Jordan Hendrikse is also a very versatile player. He can play fullback, he can play fly half. I thought he also did a fantastic job.
Let's talk about Leinster, Lions versus Leinster. And I really look forward to that one. It's the clash of the two lock leading teams. In my honest opinion, I think the Lions never thought they could win this game. They never pitched, if I can say that. They played. In the second half, they didn't score a single point. They were very rarely in Leinster's half even. I know it rained and it was bad conditions and everything else, but you can see they ran onto the field and they didn't believe that they could actually win. Am I wrong? That's the feeling I got.
I think that's a fair statement on your part. This was what I thought would be the marquee matchup of the weekend, had the potential to be that. I hoped. Now, I'm not overhyping the Lions, but they were undefeated. Leinster was undefeated. On paper, it looks like it should be a great game. And it was okay in the first half, but the Lions couldn't cross the touchline. They couldn't get it done. And I agree with you. In the second half, as time wore on, it looked like this is a team that said, well, we did our best. Let's just, let's limit the bleeding and we'll go home and be proud of ourselves. That's what it felt like in this game. It really did. The only player that, I'm looking, because I'm always looking for man of the match, even a losing effort. There's a player that's going to stand out. The only player that even remotely stood out in this game for me from the Lions was Mornay van der Beek at scrum half. I thought he was brilliant in this game. The guy is just a dynamo, really good. Another Springbok. He got called up recently. But I was disappointed in the performance of players across the board. JC Pretorius was almost non-existent in this game. I barely saw him there, and I'm a huge JC Pretorius fan from his Sevens time. It was disappointing across the board. And Cade Volhuter was a starting fly half, but I don't remember seeing him on the pitch.
Yeah, he's also an ex-Stormer, by the way. You know that, no?
Oh, and that's why he's an ex-Stormer. No, no. He's a very good player. Let's not take that anywhere. Leinster did what they had to. They weren't impressed in the first half, but it's a team that just keeps coming at you, like the All Blacks. They just keep coming at you.
Relentless.
Yeah, and they are relentless. And I would say that I had 2 man of the match picks in that game. Sam Prendergast was fantastic at fly half. He was just brilliant. Put the ball where it needed to be, distributed well. He's a really tall dude too. And then Kalen Dorst, the captain, great performance on his part.
He's Irish national. He's in immense form. He's in exceptional form. Yeah,
he is. Speaking of number 8s, that guy's probably one of the top 3 number 8s in the world right now. Honestly,
just off to see him.
yeah, exactly. Not wearing the 6 jersey. Well, that moves him down to number 4 if Sia moves up with the number 8 jersey.
Yeah. The one thing I think that did affect the Lions a bit was losing Kieran Horn to injury, to a HIA, and then Ethel van der Merwe had to go play fullback. It's not his position. He's not a fullback. I think that caught him out a little bit. And also Kieran Horn is a very big part of their attacking play, and losing him, I think, set them back a lot.
Well, I would have to agree. And that was rather early in the game, 10:30, I think, if I recall correctly, in the game is when he went out with an HIA. That definitely changed what the Lions were doing. And yeah, Kieran Horn also is brilliant at kicking the ball, so that really, really, really had a big impact on the game. But I mean, I don't think the Lions can use it as an excuse.
No.
They had their opportunity. But look, let's be fair. Going into Dublin, beating Leinster is one of the toughest things in club rugby. I mean, there's no doubt about it. And not only, and one of the reasons why I call this a marquee matchup is not only were they in Dublin, but they weren't RDS Arena next door. They were in Aviva Stadium. I mean, in a huge crowd there. I know much of the stadium was blacked out, with banners, but a huge crowd for club level rugby. And that's not a friendly place. Dublin. I mean, unless it's a Friday night and you're having a Guinness, Dublin is not a very friendly place to be when you're opposing rugby side. So, I didn't expect the Lions to win. In interest of full disclosure, I did select Super Brew. I did pick the Leinster to win this game, but I'd hoped against all hope that Lions perform. But they didn't perform up to scratch, in my view. They could have done better. They could have given a better showing. But I didn't expect to win, but I did expect more from them. So a little disappointing. The conditions were tough. But hey, there you have it. So, we've got the Autumn Internationals get started next week. We can talk briefly about that if you'd like.
No, I want to, but first of all, before we do that, I just want to remind you that one team did in fact beat Leinster in Dublin. Maybe not at Aviva Stadium, but they did beat them. So I'm not going to mention any names, but
is this a 4-legged team?
Yeah, it's 4-legged team with 2 horns. Yeah, there we go.
The Cheetahs?
Well, I don't know. The cheetahs in America have horns. I didn't know that. So that's interesting.
I don't know. Africa's a big country. We don't know anything about Africa here in America.
Hybrid cheetah.
I heard you had dragons.
No, we have dragons, apparently. Yeah, we had that as well. Okay, listen, let's talk about the Autumn International. Next week, South Africa takes on Scotland. And that is an interesting thing. I also asked Frank Smith after the game against Stormers, how much alignment is there between the Glasgow Warriors, Edinburgh, and the Scottish national side? And he said they're this close. They know they've been planning things along ever since the season, even before the season started. They had a sit down, they're planning things together, they're lining things. And Franco had a bit of a smile on his face. I'll be honest with you, I think this game is not going to be a walkover. It's going to be a true test.
Yeah, I think that of the 3 matches that the Springboks play in November in the British Isles, this is the one that is a trap game. Wales should be a walkover. I mean, you put almost any team out. Wales is in trouble. The Welsh rugby has some challenges, really falling apart. Some quality players are retired for various reasons, and they're just not there. The England game, we should win the England game because they're going to be up for the game. They're going to put the best players on the pitch. They're going to be prepared for it. But this is a trap game, and you cannot go to Murrayfield and make a mistake of letting Scotland be in this game or get ahead early in the game. So I think that's one that they're really going to have to pay attention to. It's one that it doesn't say makes me nervous, but I'm definitely concerned about it. Also, a game that's almost impossible to get a damn ticket for. I mean, I always make a trip to the UK to go to these games. I could get a ticket to England. Pricey. I mean, I would have had to sell my firstborn to pay for it. And I got a ticket for Wales easily. But a ticket for Scotland, man, you got to be King Charles or, I don't know, got to be some celebrity to get a ticket. Those tickets are all gone like that, and they're hard to get on the secondary market. So because I couldn't get a ticket to Murrayfield, I scratched the whole trip because I was going to follow the Springboks to all three games. I didn't want to do two and then not the third one, especially since of the three places, the place I enjoy the most is Scotland. Not so much England and not so much Wales. But yeah, no, I think this is a trap game. We got to be very careful about that one. Now that's after this coming weekend, so it's about a little under 2 weeks away. So,
well, it's important that you and I are going to be talking on Fridays in future. So we're going to have a bit of a preview. I wanted to talk to you about Scotland and Murrayfield and atmosphere and what you experienced there. I know you were there for the World Cup and everything else. I want to get a bit of your feeling for what it's like to be there as a spectator. And also, I think just quickly on the England game. I think everywhere had a good chance to beat England, never mind the fact that we are probably a better team than we are a better team. They're in upheaval there. I mean, Felix Jones resigned. What's the other guy? The physical, the conditioning guy, Alec Walters, he resigned. Things seem to be there's a bit of turmoil in England, and a good chance for us to really nail it, make sure we beat them properly.
Well, I agree. I think that's absolutely the case. And they're already going to be reeling unless they get lucky because this weekend they start their autumn internationals hosting the All Blacks.
A big one.
So, I mean, look, even on a bad day, the All Blacks are a team that you don't want to play, even when they're on the road. So, I mean, that's a tough start to their season. I always get excited when the URC schedule comes, or not URC, when the rugby championship schedule comes out and we don't start against the All Blacks. We can start against the Wallabies or against the Pumas. I'm okay with that. But, they're starting their season against New Zealand. That's going to be a tough one. Scotland takes on Fiji at home, and that should be a win for Scotland, which will give them some confidence when they play the Springboks. But when we get to England, they may be a little bit demoralized by the time that we play them for the final test match in November. So I don't expect to see England do very well. If they do well, I'll be surprised. I expect Scotland to play well. What the end result will be, we'll see. And I expect the Springboks win all three games. That's what I expect. Let's see if I'm disappointed or not.
Well, I don't think you'll be disappointed. I'm just interested to see what Russ's strategy is behind this team that he selected. He selected basically a World Cup winning team, a senior team, not a lot of new faces, not a single debutant. This year, debutant was selected, except Jan-Hendrik Wessels, who was withdrawn because of injury. And then, everybody else, now Jordan Hendricks is now coming in. But the initial side, it was like he was trying to say, listen, I'm going to beat everybody on this tour, and then I'm going to end up winning 11 out of 13 games, which is going to push up my winning percentage a lot. And then next year, I'll start experimenting a little bit more. I'm interested to see what Russ's approach is going to be with this team, which teams he's going to be selecting.
Well, that sounds like it makes a lot of sense, but it should have been 13 out of 13. Absolutely. Shouldn't have lost to the Pumas, shouldn't have lost to Ireland in that game. It should have been 13 out of 13 this season. But yeah, I suppose next year maybe he'll experiment a little bit, and I'll be waiting for that phone call to get my call up to get my debutante appearance as a Springbok. I'm still holding out against all hope. I'm waiting for Makazole Mapimpi to step aside so I can take over the left wing, but it's not happening.
He's also 85, like you mentioned, so you never know.
Exactly. You never know. Anyway,
thanks.
So there you have it, folks.
Appreciate it.
This is the Rugby Ascendant Podcast with Envia Velman and Chris Wyatt.